Our next forum has a guest moderator today. We've got Michelle Lee from Clever Carbon. The subject, and that's engaging employees and customers on carbon literacy and climate action. Our guests for the forum are Nora Pellegrino, Sustainability Manager at ADM Group. We're joined by Jarian Kerekes, President of Equitable Foundation, and we're also joined by Emily Ewell, who is the CEO and co-founder of Pantys. A warm welcome to all of you, and Michelle, I hand over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm very excited today to bring together a very awesome group of professionals doing some incredible work in employee and customer engagement. And really, the topic is around climate literacy and subsequently climate action. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Lee, and I lead 2 climate projects. The first one is called Clever Carbon, where we teach people about carbon footprint in a hip and fun way. And the second is Women in Climate, where we create a joyful and safe space for more women to learn and talk about climate. But I didn't always work in climate. I started my career in the Bay Area, where I worked for tech companies. And I really learned a lot around, company culture and employee engagement. And I saw firsthand the benefits of incorporating that into the workplace. I remember working for a software company that had volunteer time off. And we were literally asked to put this in our performance plan and make sure we reached those goals. And that was really refreshing to me, to bake in volunteer time in such a way where it was almost a requirement. And our employers really, after college and education, they play such an important part in teaching us new things, whether it's DEI, mental health, fitness and well-being. And I think it's sort of the same thing when it comes to climate education. Our employers have this incredible opportunity to not only engage employees, but teach them in a way that it actually helps the product, it engages employees, creates more fulfillment at the workplace, and brings together people and adds to the culture in a way that is very beneficial. And especially as companies are already setting or looking to set net zero targets, rapid reductions are part of the requirement. And there's no better or faster way to get there than to engage employees and also engage customers. So today we're going to be touching on all of those topics, and I'd love to turn it over to our panelists for an introduction. Ali, I'll kick it off to you.
Sure. So my name is Nora Pellegrino. I am the Sustainability Manager for the Americas Group at ADM Group, and our company is a global marketing execution partner for a lot of big brands around the world. The main focus for my team and really for our company as a whole is to make it easy for our clients to develop and execute on promotional projects and promotional materials that have a reduced environmental footprint, and then make sure our clients have the ability to easily measure those improvements year over year.
Awesome. Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pantys. We're the leading fashion femtech brand today in health and sustainability. And we launched as the first brand of menstrual underwear in Latin America, now operating in a number of different continents, an amazing partner of Clever Carbons as well. And of course, our brand and company launched with a very clear value proposition, both for bringing more comfort to women and quality of life for them during their menstrual cycle. But we also have a very strong value proposition focused on environmental sustainability. It's estimated that globally, up to 1 trillion disposable menstrual products are single-use products.
Oh, looks like Emily might be
every year. So we're very conscious of bringing a better impact, thinking that those products take 100 years to decompose. It's into that, looking at how are our products really sustainable.
Wonderful. Jarian, would love to hear your intro.
Hi, thank you for having me. Jarian Kerekes, I represent Equitable. I lead Equitable Foundation and our social impact work. So really all things community engagement. We're on the heels of just launching our second environmental, social, and governance report. And really happy to be with you all. Equitable is a financial services company. It's been around over 160 years, helping people achieve financial fitness, and couldn't be more excited to be with everyone today to talk about this subject.
Awesome. Really excited to dig in with all of our very esteemed panelists. And I'd like to start the conversation with just sort of like a general, what does climate literacy mean to you? And can you share one example of an initiative that you've launched at your company or are launching at your company to engage employees or consumers? And Jarian, let's start with you.
Sure. So, what it means to me is just, obviously being cognizant. We read the reports. We are subject to, weather patterns that seem more odd than normal. So we know that this is something we need to be cognizant of, and especially be cognizant of for the future and for our own kids. And so that's really, what it means to me. And I have a role here at the company where we try to educate our employees and our financial professionals about why this subject is important to them. And naturally, we don't, we're not making things. We don't have factories, right? We're really, we're helping people live long and fulfilling lives through our expertise and our financial wherewithal. And so making sure our people understand that there are small actions that they can take that benefit the broader society. So that's something I'm really excited to be a part of. And as I mentioned, on the heels of our second ESG report, we have lunch and learn scheduled, guest speakers. Michelle, I know you hate the shameless plug, but you'll be joining our company this week around Clever Carbon and some fun initiatives and some engaging workshops. And we'll have other folks joining periodically throughout the month. We have volunteer engagement set up for folks in the community, and really trying to just reinforce that there are small actions that we can take that will benefit everybody.
Awesome, Jarian. And I'm very excited to host the team this week. So more on that. Ali, how about you? What does climate literacy mean to you? And would love to hear about an initiative.
Yeah, sure. So I think of climate literacy as like gaining an understanding of the Earth's climate systems, and then developing a sense of how to assess whether the information that you read and hear about this subject is credible or not, and then pulling out the credible information you learn to make decisions that ideally positively impact the climate. And so at ADM, we've engaged our employees and clients in climate literacy conversations in two main ways recently. The first has been by building a product sustainability calculator for our employees and clients with Anthesis Group, and we call it our green design tool. And the second has been by hiring engaging speakers, honestly, Michelle, like you, like Clever Carbon, to come and help our employees develop a more personal connection to the climate literacy conversation.
Incredible. I think it's really cool that you have a green design tool, which literally helps your employees and, has a framework around, consistently kind of giving you some results. So that's awesome, Ali. Emily, would love to hear your version.
Let's hope my audio is back here. Thank you, Michelle. So I think the biggest example for carbon literacy that we brought to market as a leader of a product-based company is our carbon label. So we were the first lingerie brand globally to launch carbon labels and to label all of our products. In Brazil, we were the first in the fashion industry. And I really see that as kind of like a nutrition label for your clothes. So if everybody's familiar with nutrition labels, knows what a calorie is. And we really have been focusing on education for our employees as well to understand the impact of the products that we're making, even how the production process affects those numbers, but also our consumers. And so I think that that's an initiative that's been really helpful, not just for educating end consumers, but also as a team, us understanding how what we do in our day-to-day lives and with our decisions in the business and operations impacts carbon.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I always look to the Pantys carbon label as a gold standard. If a nutrition label just said healthy, not healthy, that's not very helpful. When you break out all the data and you can see at each step, what the emissions or how many calories there are, that's actually really, really helpful and very transparent as well. And so sort of riding on the coattails of that, Emily, what did the decision making behind that initiative look like? You were the first lingerie brand, but you were just one of the first brands, period. And no pun intended, sorry. And, not many customers know what carbon footprint is. Like, how did you come to the decision that this is something that you want to do?
Now, that's a great question, Michelle. And I would say that it really came from our community. I mean, we have a very strong value proposition in educating around more conscientious choices for consumers. And then we started to hear a lot from different customers. Well, what about the product? Is the product sustainable? And I always say, well, first off, there is no such thing as 100% sustainable product or even 100% sustainable business. And if anybody is claiming that they're definitely greenwashing. So it's what it's really about is transparency and saying, we're a certified B Corporation. We're also part of the UN Global Compact. I'm on the UN leadership as well for a number of initiatives. So for us, it's really important to say the carbon label for us was a decision around transparency, not only to end consumers, our employees, but also to ourselves, so that we know how we can improve and say, okay, we're doing great here, but this number, we can make a big difference if we start working with more local suppliers, for example, or this number for example, our warehouse, we changed all of our energy to solar renewable energy. That affects directly our carbon label. And so now we have, with that information, we can actually create goals and metrics for improving and reducing our impact. I think a lot of consumer brands focus first on carbon neutral. They want whatever they can use to market the product as a more sustainable product, but it's not really about being neutral. It's about being able to reduce our impact and have that self-awareness of, not just what an average menstrual underwear carbon emissions is, but ours, with our supply chain, with our fabrics that we're using. And so I think it was, a more of a leadership decision, really, that we heard that there was a lot of curiosity from our community. And we said, we want to make this happen. We partnered with a certified carbon group to do the analysis for us. I think it's really important that it's a third-party certified process, that you're not creating your own label and doing that process by yourself, because it's like doing your own audit. And working with them, we actually designed the methodology. So it was something that was really, really new, like you said.
Emily, where can people take a look at the label? Is there somewhere on the website that they can look at it?
We do, yeah. So we have a landing page on our website that explains the label and how we use it and how we're offsetting our carbon emissions.
Awesome. Head over to pantys.com then. Ali, for you, with a green design tool, I'd love to hear a little bit, behind the story of why you decided to do that and what sort of that, decision-making looked like and what type of stakeholders were involved.
Yeah, sure. And I think I'm going to echo a lot of things that the sentiments that Emily just had. But yeah, the decision-making process behind developing our green design tool was one that was very widely supported by our leadership teams and our board of directors as being vital for supporting our clients in measuring and reducing their environmental impacts when it comes to producing their promotional marketing materials. So it took us close to 8 months of working with Anthesis Group to develop the tool. But the launch of the tool was definitely a widely celebrated event at our company, both by our internal teams and our clients. But I think even more important than getting leadership buy-in has been getting employee buy-in on it, since they're the ones that have to use the tool on a daily basis. And use of the tool really does require a lot of data collection and processing, and they're the ones that have to go from recording data about their projects to actually improving the footprints of those projects. So we established 2 supporting initiatives for them. The first being the release of a sustainable design guide that shows them a bunch of different ways that they can go about making their projects more sustainably. Things like making them from recycled materials, lightweighting their pieces, making them so that they can be disassembled and reused and things like that. And then we also established an eco-design team of global sustainability ambassadors who collect case studies from their regions and showcase how they're using the tool to improve on specific projects. And then we share those case studies to our global teams to encourage everyone to use the tool and then highlight success stories. That particular initiative has been very well received, and it's getting our global teams working together in exactly the ways that we were hoping for. And then, since receiving such positive reactions to the release of the green design tool, it was easy to convince internal stakeholders to invest in like a clever carbon session, for instance. So I first encountered Clever Carbon at the Marketplace of the Future event in 2022, and suggested that we have Michelle speak to our teams after that. My sustainability team agreed it was important for us to follow up with our employees by engaging them in a carbon conversation that would allow them to feel more like connected to their own personal carbon footprints. And Michelle, you made that very easy for them to do, honestly.
Thank you, Allie. And, you launch the initiative and then there's, follow-ups. It's not like a one and done. It's a living project and there's roadmaps. And just out of curiosity, Allie, is the green design tool something that you communicate to customers or prospects as well for ADM Group?
Yeah, so we definitely describe it as part of, pitch meetings for potential new clients and the capabilities of it. It's meant to be used as an internal tool, but what we do is we will run projects like client ideas and projects through the tool and screenshot the metrics that are outputs by the tool and include them in our briefings and quotes that we provide for the client during the initial design process, so that everyone has the opportunity to try to design things more sustainably from the beginning.
That's awesome. Thanks, Allie. And, Jarian, I had a chance to work with you personally and read the first or the inaugural Equitable ESG report and was just kind of really floored by the amount of employee engagement at Equitable. And I know that there are many initiatives that are important to the organization. I'm curious, with just climate in general, what was that like bringing that into, the conversations with employees? Did you need to get stakeholder buy-in or was it really just an easy shoe-in?
I'd say that as far as our leadership being involved, this was something that was, we didn't have to twist any arms. Obviously, if you following the markets and just some of the conversation on Wall Street as it relates to financial services companies and those that manage money, how important the topic of ESG is. And so anytime we have an opportunity to connect our employees to our business, we think it obviously benefits everyone. And so it's not, the education for our employees is that this stuff really matters, and it matters because it's good for society. It's not only something that we're cognizant of as it relates to investment decisions and investments that we make, but it's also just the right thing to do for others. And so drawing that connection for our people is why we're hosting lunch and learns and why we are being intentional about serving the community and creating those engagement moments. So that becomes more of a natural synergy for everyone to understand that it's not a topic over there, but it's something that we all are a part of and can benefit from and add to, so to speak.
Yeah, the right thing to do. Sometimes that's just the reason why you do something at an organization. And I've done many of these workshops where, we teach people about carbon footprint. One thing that Equitable did, or Jarian, maybe you spearheaded this, was getting engagement from employees and incentivizing them to join. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you rolled out at Equitable to get people to join the session?
Yeah. Listen, it's no surprise in this new way that we work, this hybrid environment, that folks will come to the office when it makes sense. And that's the approach that we take. We trust our employees to get their work done. And, when there's moments that matter and there's opportunities to come together and convene and be productive, we obviously encourage that. And our employees have really take advantage of that. The incentive you reference is we want to create even more energy for folks to socialize not only the educational components of our ESG report, our guest speakers such as yourself, but the badge, the Clever Carbon badge, that obviously that carbon footprint, like folks just socializing that, not just the company socializing it, but asking our people, kind of like a crowdsourcing. And we've said, hey, for every time that's shared and you use our hashtag internally, we'll give $50 to a national nonprofit, Earthshare, that we support and volunteer with. So we're hoping to create a lot of momentum and energy in and around Earth Day and even after, where people are taking a minute to take the Clever Carbon footprint quiz, sharing it with their networks, and maybe incentivizing others. We know word of mouth is the greatest marketing tool. And it's actually how I was made privy to Clever Carbon, was following some friends at the National Basketball Association and thought it was a really neat concept. And then that led me to, just find out more. And I think you think about how that really adds up and you create that multiplier effect. I think we can raise a lot of awareness.
That's so awesome, Jarian. Does it count if I share my badge? Does $50?
Why not? Let's do it.
Why not? Yeah. Awesome. We have 3 examples of initiatives where, we're engaging employees and customers, and it trickles down to the end customer as well. And I'm curious, open-ended question to the panelists, were there any surprises or unintended benefits that you saw from this initiative that, we're speaking about today?
I'll go first. I'll say that as we have created internal communications about the event that we're hosting tomorrow, actually, I think one of the unintended benefits was it created a lot of traction around engagement in general. So yes, we have a particular topic. We're talking about our carbon footprint. That's going to be a fun and engaging exercise tomorrow. But because we've been directing folks to go learn more, read our ESG report, it's just created a lot of internal dialogue about other ways that we can have an impact and be a force for good. And so I think, to me, while we've really created a lot of communication about our engagement opportunity tomorrow during lunch, it's created other opportunities and tentacles for people to go plug in and get involved.
Love that, Jarian.
I can jump in as well. I think that when we launched our carbon label, it was really interesting how our team started thinking differently. So, and I always say that sustainability is a culture. It's not just about activities that you do, but it's about how you think. And so, for example, it started impacting our product development. When we were looking at our label, one of the things that we noticed is that we also map the full life cycle, so including use and disposal. And the use is really high. The use was over 20% of our carbon emissions is the consumer washing the product. And our team started asking, well, why is that? Is there something that we can do about that? And so it's because the traditional, soaps and detergents are actually really bad for the environment. And so we developed a coconut-based soap product that also has enzymes that help break down menstrual fluid. And also we have products for maternity as well. So breastfeeding milk as well. And so it's actually a more functional soap, but much better for the environment. And the thought process around that was, well, let's reduce the carbon emissions from use of our product. And our team kind of having those aha moments and insights from having the information. So the information is really the first step in opening up and helping your team think differently and really make that shift in mindset. And that can create a lot of innovation in terms of products or new processes.
Yeah. Well, what gets measured gets changed, right? Emily, and I love that story, right? You are an apparel brand. You performed a life cycle analysis to find out the carbon emissions of your product, and you found that the use part was high, so you made a detergent. It's really an unintended benefit. Allie, anything you want to mention?
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Emily just said. I think, information's been key. We've been teaching our teams a lot about the differences in materials and the footprints associated with making very simple shifts in materials that are not even, you can't perceive them with the eye when things make it to market, which has been very important for them. But I think my favorite unintended surprise when it comes to using the green tool is that more often than not, switching to more sustainable designs or materials did not end up being more expensive than the traditional go-to methods or materials. I think there's a common misconception that choosing the sustainable alternative has to lead to cost increases. So we're able to use the tool to prove that that isn't true, and that's been huge for our teams.
I love that, Ali, right? No green premium, actually. And in some cases, it helps reduce cost as well. So that's always a wonderful unintended benefit out of business, right?
Yep.
We have 3 initiatives again that we're talking about. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to measure that impact when it comes to things like employee engagement or customer engagement or, climate action as a result of that program. So I'm curious, how do you, what types of metrics do you use to measure impact?
Yeah, sure. I can pick that one up just because the whole purpose of our green design tool is to impact decision-making at the point of design and the point of purchase. The tool inspires our team and our internal teams to consider sustainable design methods and materials as soon as they're briefed by our clients on any project. And then it also inspires our clients to select the most sustainable options that the teams provide them with for when they actually move to production. But it assesses how sustainable a product is by weighing information about the way it's made. We're taking into account factors like raw materials used, packaging, downstream logistics, recycled content, use of the item itself, and then end-of-life disposal. And ultimately, it's providing them with quantifiable metrics that the teams and clients can rely on for decision-making and for reporting, like the CO2 emissions and the water consumption associated with producing a particular item a particular way. So it's very, clear the metrics that we can take away from it and then how to develop benchmarks for improvement year over year.
Nice. Yeah, it's almost like a metrics-based tool in and of itself, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're definitely going to rely on the amount of shares and kind of that social activity from the sharing of our Clever Carbon co-branded badge. We're really excited about how that all turned out. But we'll also measure, from an engagement standpoint, how many folks are getting out in the community, volunteering. Those are just small ways that we can say, did we hit the mark? Did we increase engagement? We have some baselines of what lunch and learn, replays, things like that. In this new environment, everyone doesn't need to show up tomorrow at 12. They can watch a replay. So we'll monitor those things and see what can we improve upon and offer to our people in the future that may resonate.
Awesome, Jerry.
Great. And I can just compliment quickly here. We also have social impact metrics as well that we use, so not just environmental, but social. But I'm a big fan as a leader of kind of social environmental accounting. So when we close a quarter, when we close a month, I think companies are used to going through financials and saying, oh, here's how we did, and here's our KPIs. And so we've integrated
Emily, we can't hear you for
She may join by her phone.
Yeah, we'll get her back in a second there. So, for companies that are, or actually, Emily, you want to finish your thought there?
Finish your apologies. Zoom is not liking me today, but we integrate all of our in our accounting processes, all of our KPIs for social and environmental impact. So it's just, I think as a leader, a really important thing to not just kind of separate things. It's about the value that you're bringing to society, not just financial value, but also social and environmental value, and integrating that into business strategy as a whole, I think is kind of a leadership perspective, really, really important. So just to bring that in. Thanks, Michelle. Apologies for the challenges here.
Oh, no, all good. So, for companies that are just getting started, engaging on the climate piece, climate literacy, any tips you would have with respect to, how to approach this topic with customers, how to approach it with employees from an engagement perspective that you can share? Ellie, why don't we start? Oh, or Emily.
No, I think that for me, it's just getting started. And I think that a lot of companies maybe struggle to have like a roadmap of where do you start. And I think, for example, our Clever Carbon quiz, we have menstruation put into that. I think Clever Carbon is an amazing way to get your team engaged and help bring some of that awareness. I also think that the B Corp evaluation process is an amazing roadmap for any company to understand environmentally how they can get started and what metrics would be important to any company. So if you haven't done the assessment, I highly recommend it. I think it's a great self-awareness process, even if you're not looking to get certified right now, but a great way to get that self-awareness.
And Emily, I want to double click on that a little bit, because I think sometimes companies are a little bit wary of, well, we don't want to be perceived as greenwashing, or we don't, want to, expose ourselves. Do you have any kind of reflections on, when companies feel that that's the case?
Yeah, I think that it's just about transparency and making sure that all of your initiatives, they're not coming from marketing, but they're coming from the business strategy, not just looking at what you communicate, but also kind of behind the scenes operations. It needs to be integrated in every side of the business. And so that's really important. It's not about marketing or communication. It's about really the business strategy as a whole and integrating that.
Yeah. And the action that you're actually taking. And you don't have to be perfect, right? I think that's one of the things. Like, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Everyone needs to get started somewhere. Yeah. Jarian, how about you? Any tips for companies just getting started?
I think just, being purposeful and intentional. And we talk a lot at Equitable about using all of our big systems to have an impact, and none bigger than our $96 billion general account. I mean, that's really the vehicle of which we make investments, pay claims to our policyholders. And of that $96 billion general account, $65 billion of that, of those assets are directed toward an ESG investment process. And I think that's important. If people know that your biggest systems, the biggest way you can have impact, you're infusing this lens, then it makes sense when they see other pieces of the business operating through the same lens. So to the point, it's not just something the foundation does that I lead, but it's really infused into all of our business practices. And I think that's a great way to start, is that intentionality.
Awesome. So big numbers there, Jerry. 95 billion. Allie, how about you?
Yeah, so, when it comes to employee engagement, I found it most helpful to take this on in sort of a 3-step process. So I started with storytelling and then moved to showing them the impacts that they can have, like on a professional level, and then eventually got support to teach them more about their personal footprints and how they can impact those in their daily lives and like from their homes with their families. So I started out by sharing with my teams my own sustainability journey, because I just wanted them to see that I haven't always thought like this or lived my life in sustainable ways. I became interested in this, and then I sought out information and I changed my personal practices as I learned new things. And I think that helps people to feel like they can jump into whenever, like from wherever they're currently at. And then we move forward with showing them how they can focus on sustainability in the way they operate at work. And in our case, by using our green design tool. And then finally, we're taking that, taking on the personal connection element by introducing groups like Clever Carbon to teach them about what they can do from home to feel good about participating in more sustainable practices on their own.
Yeah, I love that. The power of like storytelling and being personal, and having that person at the company, that they can go to for questions, or, they can relate to your story, and you're leading the green design tool and the rollout. I think that's, actually a really good tip. So thank you, Allie, for that. I guess I'm going to kind of just end with this question on, what other climate initiatives or engagement initiatives do you have this year that you are looking forward to or excited about?
Sure, I can start with that if you want. So, I mean, this is going to be nerdy, but like the thing I'm most excited about seeing this year is sort of the results of implementing green design tool, because we're in our baseline year when it comes to reporting and target setting. So I just think there's huge potential for improvement and like footprint reduction for our company and for our clients. But I'm also super excited to be expanding more into the wellness conversation when it comes to offering our employees like events to participate in and speakers to attend. So for example, we did a great session with a group recently called Sleep, and they're from Hong Kong. And they taught us all about the importance of eating healthy and taking breaks, meditating, getting exposure to sunlight, things like that for productivity and happiness at work. And that session resonated extremely well with our teams and just showed them that we understand how important their personal health is for getting work done, but like also just for enjoying life along the way. And I just think that's a big part of what everyone's looking for post-pandemic. So that's been great. I'm excited to do more sessions like that.
Awesome.
So cool.
Yeah. Allie, that's a cool. I know at Equitable, we're really excited to stand up our first ever green team. It's really going to be a council representative of all areas of the business that can help share information, get folks engaged, and just create, an efficient feedback loop from all areas of the business as it relates to this topic, share articles, things like that. And we're using the momentum of Earth Month and our lunch and learn tomorrow, some Earth Day activities on the 22nd to spearhead and get that off the ground. And so I'm really looking forward to the momentum.
That's huge, Jarian. Congrats. And Emily.
And just to add in here, so we do a lot of donations of reusable menstrual products to women in situations of vulnerability. But one of the biggest areas that we donate to are women in the Amazon, women and girls in the Amazon, which we have also a direct environmental impact because most of the people there, if they use disposable products, are throwing them in the middle of the Amazon forest. And we've been able to work with a few different tribes. And this year we're going to be growing quite exponentially that program. So we're really excited. It's something that we've seen a lot of engagement from our team as well, and even partners of the brand getting really excited about helping with that program. So it's just such a privilege that we can do that. And directly, obviously, Amazon is in Latin America, so we can really have a huge impact there being a local player as well.
Incredible. Congrats, Emily. Would love to see if there might be some questions from the audience.
Michelle, there absolutely are. It's almost like we set that up. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for hosting this panel as well. It changes things up a little bit. And as you say, we do have questions coming in. And I'll pick the one, frankly, which has been the most popular so far. And that's, again, about advising on carbon literacy. Do all of you think, and do you think it would be a good idea for it to be part of on-the-job training, the same as you might have your safety training, your IT training, as part of your essential on-the-job onboarding?
I definitely have thoughts, but I want to let the panelists go.
Sure, I can jump in here from having launched a carbon label and worked with our team on that. I think it would be amazing to enter the onboarding process, especially like Clever Carbon, where you learn about your own impact and how your own decisions on a daily basis impact carbon emissions. But I do think that that would not be possible unless there is some standardization in terms of, how do you quantify, for example, for products, carbon labeling? That's not regulated, and lots of different brands do it different ways, which is why it's important to work with certified third-party partners on that. And so I think that that's where it is a space where we see carbon literacy is really important, but we don't have a lot of standards in the market yet for how things could or should be done. And until that happens, we could definitely have companies that do some form of education, but it's not going to be necessarily comparable across organizations, if that makes sense.
Jarian or Allie, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, the saying goes, what gets, what gets measured gets managed. I think in some sort of incorporation, especially in financial services, you're always taking tutorials and things like that. But if they get pushed down from the top and are somewhat, hey, we're requiring these, I think that creates a level of importance. So I would be in favor of that.
Yeah, fully agree. I think it would be nice, to Emily's point, to have a streamlined version of this communication, sort of something that we can all go to as a solid reference point. We try to incorporate this already into onboarding processes. You know, you do climate overviews as part of onboarding and training for using items like our green design tool or our sustainable design guide and stuff. It kind of comes with it. And we do try to do training academies on things like traceability for the different types of materials and things that we are teaching our employees about how to use. But it would definitely be very helpful if we could get sort of a general global training or even regional trainings that we could distribute to each of the regions, and have that be a streamlined way to do that.
And a quick note from me is that whether or not you have a sustainability initiative for employees or for customers, you know, it's climate literacy can be really simple. And I think including it in the onboarding process is a key way to get buy-in from the beginning and to infuse that into the culture. So absolutely.
Michelle, I'll let you have the final word on that. So thank you very much. And thank you to all of you. Some genuinely inspiring ideas and anecdotes there. Really appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us at Sustainability Live New York. Thanks to all of you.